James.
Rough.
They're trying to stop the boy, man.
Yeah. You can't hold a good man down.
No. They hate to see a young man winning.
That's it. They see a pimp thriving and they do everything to cut him down and prevent him from spreading his wings.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about UK regulation of Microsoft in Xbox Activision case.
But the vultures in the UK regulatory establishment.
Yeah. They're trying to keep down such an Adela. Goddamn.
One of the biggest tech acquisitions in history was announced a little while ago and has been butting up against the regulators in a number of different countries. And that is the acquisition of Microsoft of Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard being one of the largest video game companies in the world. So Activision Blizzard was acquired by Microsoft, or Microsoft announced it was going to acquire them for about $80 billion. I think it was about 78. So automatically one of the biggest tech deals in history. Mm-hmm. And for those who don't know who Activision Blizzard are, obviously they were formed by the merger of Activision and Blizzard, two different video game companies. And they make titles like Call of Duty.
World of Warcraft.
Yep, World of Warcraft.
StarCraft, you name it. League of Legends.
Yep, League of Legends. A lot of the biggest video game titles in the world. Microsoft wanted to purchase them for obvious reasons, to get access to all those titles and have them under the umbrella. But the UK regulators have slapped it down and said that it's not going to be it. And it kind of, the reason sort of surprised people, because a lot of the arguments were about, which we'll get into in a sec, were about, does this give Xbox too many of the biggest video game properties in the world? It would be as if, with a film analogy, if one platform suddenly purchased a whole bunch of massive movie studios so you could only access them on Netflix, for example. Same kind of idea. But it wasn't that reason that they knocked it back. The reason they knocked it back was they thought that it might bring too much monopoly power or concentration to the cloud gaming market, which is the market by which you don't own a console, you just stream video games from a central server.
An incredibly nascent.
A very nascent space, which a lot of people don't. Only a very small customer base actually do that because, A, there's not that many providers, not that many games, and it requires a really, really, really fast internet to be even worth doing. So, the UK regulators said this might challenge this future space, which is not particularly huge now, but will be in the future. So we're knocking it back. And this has caused a vast freak out at Microsoft, who are now, talking about maybe the UK isn't where we want to do business at all, and has caused a bit of a shake-up in the video game space generally as well.
I think there's some interesting context here. So, firstly, PlayStation is massively dominant. Sony is dominant in the console space, right? It's something like, and correct me if I'm wrong, 44% of the console market is PlayStation. Nintendo is 28%, and Xbox is 27%. It's something like those numbers.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
And one of the beauties of Nintendo is that people buy them even if they have an Xbox or a PlayStation as well. So it's slightly different to the position where Xbox is, whereas you either have an Xbox or a PlayStation for the most part, unless you're
Nintendo has its own little universe because people always want to play the new Mario games and whatever. They really relentlessly target the family market. So if you're buying something for a little kid, you're probably going to get a Nintendo Switch or something.
They're not really, they are competitors, but not in the same way that Sony and Xbox are.
No, they've managed to cut out their own world.
Yeah. So the interesting thing here is that the regulator is blocking, if you look more broadly at the entire video game market, the company that's in third place with 27% of the share of the market, they're blocking this acquisition for what is, if you ignore the Microsoft part of it, a kind of challenger brand. Now, as just an individual, I was disappointed in the outcome as an individual and maybe someone who may or may not have
Microsoft stock.
But I am very keen to see what happens in the cloud gaming space because at the moment, we're not sure that it's actually a viable business model at all.
Yeah.
Google entered the space with Stadia. They shut it down. Google obviously shut down a lot of things, but NVIDIA has a kind of cloud
NVIDIA
gaming.
Does, Amazon does.
But it's not been proven whether this model actually works. What Microsoft is obviously doing is saying like, Microsoft can't compete with Sony basically at the moment. We in console generation terms, PlayStation have all these first party games. They've got the dominance.
I wonder what went on in that episode. Sounds intriguing.
Oh fuck! It sounded very interesting.
Like what was all that stuff about the tech and all that?
I'm interested in learning more.
Well, you can, James.
Simply how much would that set me back? Probably $50 a month.
$7 PPP.
My God. All right. Well, I would be mad not to do it. You would be mad not to do it.
Either search Downround Substack on Google. That's probably what you're going to do, let's be honest. Or downround.net if you like to type things out.
Yep. Or downround.substack.com if you're the type who likes, I don't know, aligning with Substack's brand incentives.
Or like if you're in your podcast app, presumably in the description we will have added a link.
It's right there for you. It's literally right there for you.
Sign up, 2 episodes a week. And it's all the hard stuff when it comes into like the premium episode. It's the hard stuff.
It's really inside baseball stuff. Don't you worry.